quite honestly, in my experience of spending almost 20 years in Afghanistan, my country's people, the people of Afghanistan, loved America in 2001. And did you know why they loved it? Because of the relationship and the leadership that America showed the people of Afghanistan from the 1950s and 60s, where America showed its empathy and compassion and caring through developmental projects that they invested in Afghanistan. So these were the long-term projects like the dams and the roads and the hospitals and the universities. America kind of proving to the Afghan people that we want to work with you as partners, as friends, because development, education, progress, forward is a good thing. In 2001, when America first went, Afghans overwhelmingly welcomed Americans to say, oh my God, these were the caring partners, the caring America that's coming back. 20 years later, unfortunately, America did not show the care that it did in the 50s and 60s. Because this time, the focus of America was more on the military, quick fix, and empathy is not a quick thing. You can't just throw something at somebody and expect them to love you and respect you and want you, overnight. It's a process. It's a relationship building. It's showing that you care, and you have to do it for, a period of time. And in the past 20 years, these quick fix projects, the policy that America went with winning the hearts and minds, yet America didn't do anything for the hearts and minds. It was consistently engaged with fighting and killing and calling someone a terrorist and calling someone a murderer and calling this and calling that. That doesn't win hearts and minds. Hearts and minds are won by projects, by partnerships, by showing that you care. You want to give them the same development that you're enjoying.
And asking, what do you need?
Exactly. Communication,
How can
right?
we help? What is it?
Yes.
And being transparent. If you can't do something, that's not within our bandwidth. That's not a project we can support right now. Those are all fine answers.
Taking responsible decisions, of being able to say no when you need to say no, and saying yes when you can say yes.
Yes.
And I think America didn't do that. And so, leaving Afghanistan aside, what I'm seeing right now, being away from America for 20 years and then coming back to it as a much more experienced adult, it scares me that many people take politics and treat it as this hardcore, very technical thing. But politics is very much about empathy and compassion and passion, and mercy and kindness. And the whole purpose of USAID, the reason that entity is created, is to be able to help other countries and other nations and other societies, right?
Yes.
With assistance that we can afford. Because we are privileged as American citizens to be able to do that. Yet when aid goes with a mission other than just, compassion or mercy, then it's politicized, and politics destroys countries. And so my fear in bringing this topic up is that I'm afraid that America is kind of cutting its own legs, in a sense, if I may compare it to that. Internationally, politically, it's done a lot of bad, and they don't know how to fix. Here in country, the future of America lies with the children of today. And if we're not teaching them properly and appropriately with the values and the virtues and the principles that they need to become good leaders, I really am afraid for America's future. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make this political, but I can't help but think of the long-term impact of the things we don't practice as human beings today its impacts on our futures that we are creating for us.
I can absolutely empathize to stick with the flow in that perspective. I mean, I have a sense that most people around the world, especially after what we navigated with the pandemic, they have a sense among many countries. Yes, the United States certainly is a forerunner in what we navigated. But many countries, anywhere there were cracks in the political system, they were highlighted. And we all have had this amazing opportunity to step back and go, there are so many things here that are not functioning as intended. And empathy for citizens, as we navigated through this, who showed it and who did not?
Yeah.
Who was there doing what a government's intention is, which is to support citizens in times of crisis, and who was not? And I don't mind it going political, because ultimately the whole point of being a heart leader is to understand when you're leading, it should come from that place of empathy, compassion, being there for one another. That's why we create communities. That's why we create governmental systems. That's why we create religions, belief systems. Like, that's the support that brings us all together through love, through our connection. Yes, we mentally have to have thought and think about, all right, what do we do next? What do we do next? And that's what you're bringing forward. Hey, we've highlighted there are some really serious issues on the horizon for us. And if we don't take the time to go into our hearts and ask ourselves, what are we going to do about this? Because in our thought, we can mentally see this framework is not going to get us where we desire to go long term. Then we are not going to have a sustainable future in these areas. So now what do we do? We're not going to blame each other. We're not going to cast stones. We're going to have empathy for what got us here. And now we need to pivot and figure out what we do now.